Good afternoon and welcome to LMR Live from the Lyceum. I am Nancy Mariah Balish, LMR's Artistic Director and host of this show. Today we are focusing on what it means to be an arts advocate. Tonight's show is going to bring a little different energy. Why? Because we are coming to you from the heart of the University of Mississippi, from the special place called the Lyceum. A place that engages in profound research, provides transformative education for students, and openly welcomes all people to visit, explore, and engage. Yes, the University of Mississippi. Let's give a warm welcome. I can't say it enough. It is truly an honor to work at a place that supports and promotes the arts, both in big and small ways. Allowing us to use this historic place is really special and means so much to the team. Daily, I am amazed by the profound work being accomplished on this campus, and I am thrilled to be able to share some of what we do with you today via LMR Live and through the conversation with our guests tonight. The main theme, celebrating arts advocates. We're going to talk about that with some powerhouses that may be new faces or familiar faces, not sure. How are we going to do all this? We're going to do it in LMR style. What's LMR style? Someone tell me. Someone tell me. What? Edutainment! No one's going to say it. They left me hanging. Edutainment. Say it with me. Edutainment. Thank you. Are we ready or what? I don't know. All right. So our first guest, let me introduce Cheryle Sims. I have been aware of Cheryle's work from a distance for some time and her profound impact through the Ford Foundation. But only recently I met her through a dear friend. This friend thought we would enjoy each other's company, and boy oh boy was he right. I'm excited for you to learn about Cheryle, so let's talk a little bit about her. Cheryle has lived most of her life in Mississippi. She attended Millsaps College in Jackson and then the University of South Alabama in Mobile. Cheryle also attended universities for paralegal studies in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Dallas, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia. She worked at the law firm of Thomas Price, Alston, Jones, and Davis until she resigned. She is married to Stephen Sims, who's in the house. They have 2 children and many grandchildren, with one grandson that attends this university. The Sims family moved into the home of Mrs. Gertrude C. Ford as a friend and personal assistant. They resided there until Mrs. Ford passed away in September 1996. Mrs. Ford and her husband, who was an attorney and U.S. congressman, are buried in a cemetery in a small town in southwest Georgia. Mrs. Ford's legacy was the gift of giving, and Cheryle Sims is following in her footsteps. Mrs. Ford founded a foundation in Jackson, Mississippi, with a generous gift in 1991. The Gertrude Ford Foundation began in 1998 with 3 directors, with Miss Cheryle being one of those. This foundation, some of you may think, well, I've heard of this, right? What do we know here on our university? What do we know on our campus? The Ford Center for the Performing Arts, right? What a pillar, what a jewel within our community. But we're going to even dig deeper than that. We're going to learn about Mrs. Ford. We're going to learn about Cheryle. So help me welcome the Cheryle Sims. I have to give you a hug. Welcome. So it's just a pleasure to engage in conversation with you and have you here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. So I'm curious, when did you and Mrs. Ford meet? How? Why? When?
A very interesting story. Very interesting question. I worked for a big law firm in Jackson, and we had been in the aviation trial for about 2 weeks, but we had several messages to call back of Mrs. Gertrude C. Ford, who claimed to have plenty of money and was able to pay our legal bills if we would just see her and talk to her. And we had been so busy and were so tied up with the litigation that we hadn't had a chance to call her back. So we came in one afternoon about 4, and Betty rang her through to me, And she started telling me how many dogs she had, how big her house was, and that she had plenty of money and could pay our legal fees, and that she owned the land that Fort Benning, Georgia was on, and that they wouldn't free Lieutenant Calley. So she was not going to renew their 99-year lease, and she needed an attorney to help her accomplish that.
Oh my goodness.
And we thought, gosh, you know, we just can't believe we have somebody that wants to do that. So we gave her a 10 o'clock meeting for the next morning, and the sofa in the foyer was to the front of me. She could not see me when I went out to greet her, but Betty, our receptionist, told me that Mrs. Forward was there. So I went out to greet her so I could interview her, and there was this lady sitting on the sofa with her leg propped up on the rest of the sofa. She was wearing a wig, and it was on halfway, literally. She had on 50s polyester flare pants and what looked to be a pajama top, literally. And I thought, they've gotten me mixed up and my client with this lady, you know. So I went back to the back so she couldn't see me, and I said, Betty, this is not the lady that's been calling to talk to us. And she said, yes, it is. It's Mrs. Forward. And she said, Tom Harrington, an attorney with Brunini, has referred her to y'all, and that's her. So I called Tom, and I asked Tom if that in fact was true. And he said yes, and she has mega books. And she will look like the bag lady from Smith Park, but I promise you she is a woman ahead of her time. So see her by all means and get to know her. So I went out and introduced myself to her and told her who I was, and I said, we're glad you came, Mrs. Forward. And she said, if you call me Mrs. Forward, I'll call you Mrs. Sims. I want us to call each other Gail and Cheryle. And so that was our meeting.
Oh my
Our
goodness.
very first meeting.
So you can't judge a book.
You can't
by its
judge
cover.
a book by its cover, and don't ever do that. It's making a big mistake.
I think we all make that
Because
mistake
I
at
started to
times.
turn around and go back and say that I wouldn't be available that afternoon, but after seeing what a well-spoken woman she was and 50 years ahead of her time, I couldn't wait to get to know more about her. And our hearts just met, and we knew we'd forever be entwined in each other's lives.
So
Somehow.
in
or
that
some
first
way.
meeting, was it clear you were kindred spirits?
Yes.
Right away.
Yes, after I talked to her for about an hour or an hour and a half, it was clear.
What
that
was
we
it
would
about that
forever be
interaction
friends.
that connected you? Because
She was so warm, really. She acted like she had a outer spirit that was bitter and a little hatred and hard shell. And I could see past that. I could tell that there was something about her, if she had that kind of money, had been as well educated as she said, and I knew there had to be more to the interior. And so I was anxious to get to know her better after meeting her.
So I would only, I mean, I'm jumping to a conclusion here. I would imagine if you were very well off, that most of the time people would be asking you for things. That I wonder maybe her purpose of dressing so opposite was to not draw attention in that way?
That was
or-
exactly. She had method in her madness.
Yeah?
She dressed like that because she had so many millions that she didn't want people coming to her for money. And another part of her that had hardened her some was that every person that was supposed to be a friend of hers had turned out to want money in some form or another.
Right.
And so I think that drew me to her too. I said she really needs love, and she had been without a family. And just remember, if you don't remember anything else I say today, it doesn't take blood to make a family. It takes love to make a family. And that's for the Ole Miss family, the musical family, for all of us. You don't have to have blood relationship to make a family. And we did become a family, and what a great family we had with her.
So your family actually lived with her?
We actually moved in with her about 7 years later.
Wow.
After our son went off to college for the first year. She had never had any children, no nieces and no nephews. And she wanted to be loved and to have a family.
I mean, isn't that what we all want, fundamentally?
And I think that's what we all want.
Right.
Really. And so we had a wonderful life together. A wonderful life together.
Now, you shared with me she was a bit of a recluse, like a bit...
She was a recluse. At the time I met her, she did not have one single friend. Everybody she had in her life was a professional that was paid. She had her stockbroker, she had her tax man, and she had us, her professional attorneys, you know. And those are the people that she had in her life, and 9 dogs.
9 dogs.
Uh-huh.
All right, 9 dogs. So what do you think, I mean, she was able to let that shell, that guard down with you?
Yes, little by little. It took a period of time that both of us adjusted to each other. But after when I call it when our hearts met, we really knew then that we would be forever friends. And she told us at an early time in our relationship that when she was no longer able to manage her affairs, she wanted us to move in with her and live with her as a family.
Aww.
And so she had an 11,000 square foot home that was made in a U shape, and we had one side of the house and she had the other. So it wasn't like we were in a crowded space. We had our life and she had her life, but I took care of her and managed her affairs for the last 8 years of her life.
It sounds to me, I mean, just knowing you the short time, but experiencing you, you have such an outgoing personality and someone who it easily engages with others. I'm sure that was that empowered her, that you were able to bring that type of energy and that type of personality into her life. Do you think?
She said, yes, she asked me one day when we were riding around what made me have joy and peace and happiness in my life, that she wanted that but didn't know how to have it. She was agnostic, and I led her to Christianity in 1993. And from then on, she was the sweetest, kindest, most unselfish woman I think I've ever met. I mean, she tried to give us everything she had several times, and we told her no, that we couldn't be bought, that we wanted to still remain her friends, and that she could do something for us later.
Oh. So now, I mean, you've been charged with overseeing this foundation,
right,
and having profound impact in the arts and other arenas also, because it's not just for the arts, right?
That's right.
I mean, there's been a very significant contribution to the University of Mississippi Medical Center.
Right.
Yes. So Gertrude Ford, she embraced the arts. Patron, observer, practitioner, literature, fluent in French, Latin, Spanish, played the flute, violin, piano. Unbelievable.
She was a genius.
Unbelievable.
She truly was. Stephen will vouch for that.
I mean, how many people can say they're that versatile or that, much of a Renaissance person?
She had everything in her life, money, everything else, but she didn't have love and a family. Mm-hmm. But she loved the arts. And I'll tell one small story that's really funny. The reason we don't give to athletes is when she married the young Aaron Forward from who was in Congress from Akron, Mississippi, took her to a Washington Senators baseball game. And she noticed that the man on first base would run part of the way to second base and run back. And in a few minutes, he would do it again. And she couldn't figure it out because this is a woman that was tutored, chauffeured. I mean, she grew up in megabits of money, and she had never participated in any sport. And so she asked Aaron, she said, Aaron, why is that man running halfway to the other base and coming back? And he said, because he's trying to lose weight. So she got so mad at him that she never went to another sporting event.
She never went again.
She got all she wanted out of her first visit to a sporting event.
That is funny. That is very funny. So what is your background in the arts? I mean, have you studied any particular aspect of the arts?
I owe that to my parents. Mm-hmm. My parents always encouraged us to be the very best we could be at whatever we wanted. Mm-hmm. So my sister and I both were in dancing, baton, piano, and my brother liked to draw. I'm not artistic at all, but that's where we really got our base and our foundation for the arts and the love for the arts. And of course, after meeting Miss Forward, we were really involved in the arts.
Wonderful.
In ballet, in visual, and performing arts at home.
I think that's the thing people forget. I mean, being an arts supporter can mean so many different things. And it even fundamentally can mean showing up, attending things, being present, engaging in that way. It's a huge thing. All right, I want to get to a question from a student. Because they were saying some of these students will be working for arts organizations that may apply to the Ford Foundation at some point. They wanted to know what would stand out most on a grant application. Is there anything?
Experience or exposure to other arts.
Other arts. So integrating?
Mm-hmm, integrate.
Fantastic. And is there any way to, someone else want to know, is there any way to put something special or package the application in a way that draws it to the top?
I would say knowing something about Mrs. Ford and her impact on the arts.
I think that's a good point for whatever you're applying for, that you really understand how you fit within that parameter.
Okay.
Maybe?
We don't look at any particular thing. Mm-hmm. We look at the person, we look at what they're asking for, what exposure to the arts they've had, and what will usually drive it up is some kind of statement about how important the arts are to them.
Got it. Do you find people give you a hard time at all, or other people on the board or other organizations of why you would put money and time into the arts, that there are other things that are more worthy?
We give to medical science, and we give to the humanities quite a bit. And we see that every area of society we have participated in.
Wow.
And that's the homeless, that's people with spinal and head injuries, hospitals, foster children, and our biggest emphasis is on the arts. That's what she wanted us to focus on.
And it focuses in Mississippi.
Yes, the focus.
Correct?
We have given over $70 million to the state of Mississippi for various reasons.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. You know, Mississippi gets a bad rap on things, but I tell you, the one thing, not the one thing, one of the many things that Mississippi does better than anywhere are the people that are in this state and in this place and purposefully giving back within it.
Right.
I mean, it's just amazing to me.
Mississippi is #1 in the United States in charitable giving. We may be on the bottom in a lot of other things, but charitable giving is very important to us and to other foundations, and we've ranked #1, and we're very proud of that.
That is fantastic. So a community that is very much on board with the arts is the actual city of Oxford. And we have with us today another female powerhouse that we're going to bring onto the couch and talk with here and engage Cheryle and this next guest. I'm going to give you little clues who this person is. Mayor of Oxford, Robyn Tannehill. She graduated from the University of Mississippi in 1992. At that point, she had the privilege to work at the University of Mississippi's Public Relations Department before being named Assistant Director of the Oxford-Lafayette County Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Foundation. Gosh, I had trouble getting that out. She served the city of Oxford and promoted Oxford as a tourism destination as executive director. And she was key in starting the Double-Decker Arts Festival, which we're going to talk about in a moment. She is a past recipient of the University of Mississippi's Young Alumnus of the Year and has served on the University of Mississippi's Alumni Board of Directors. She has served on many boards and organizations throughout the community. She's married to Ray Tannehill, and they have 3 children, and she is just incredibly spectacular. Help me welcome Robyn Tannehill. Hello. Welcome. So I love what you have on your welcome for the city of Oxford. She has on there how Oxford is the cultural mecca of the South.
Yes,
how
it is.
Oxford, with this home of Ole Miss, the wonderful relationship we have between the city and the university. And I love how you also say you hear all the time that people came here just for a visit and they realized that years later they've stayed. I mean, I fall into that category. I thought what was going to be one semester, and here's 20 years later. So pretty cool. I've observed your greatness in a couple capacities, which I just want to share. As a mom, I've observed you in your mayor position through your Mayor for the Day program. I've served on committees with you as a faculty member. And as artistic director of this, you really got on board with us with our Thacker Junior program last year.
I loved it.
In partnership with Thacker Mountain Radio Hour, and she was a featured guest on that program, which really impacted a wide range of students within this community. So I really respect all that you're doing.
Oh,
So
thank you. It's my honor.
So we found out today you two had not met before,
We
right?
had not.
Yeah, we had.
So good thing we did this, right?
That's right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
This is an introduction.
It's already a
needed.
success.
It's already a success. We're going to go home. No, we're not. So I want to know, first off, what inspires you?
Oh, so many people and different things inspire me, but probably what inspires me the most is finding ways to make a difference. Not really. My husband wishes I were more inspired by money. He wishes I were more inspired in high-paying jobs, but I am inspired by making a difference and seeing that happen. That's one of the joys of local politics. I am not a politician. I'm an accidental politician who is very honored to be a public servant, and we get to make a difference every single day in someone's quality of life, whether it's our employees, our citizens, folks who are coming here who think they're just coming for a visit that end up finding their dream community, and that's what makes me get up excited every day.
That's wonderful.
That is wonderful.
So what was your major in college?
I was an art major.
Art major!
Which I know gives you all great confidence in me managing the $82 million budget, right?
Well, with this crowd, it does. We're like, yeah, bring it on, Art.
Right.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So someone wanted to know, what was that moment where it was like, I'm going to run for mayor? Was there a spark?
It was not really a moment.
Okay.
It was, I second guessed that about, 10,000 times.
Well, don't we do
say
that?
there was no light bulb moment of, this is what I have to do. I kept going, but God, I don't really want to do that. That's not right. But wait, I love to stay at home, and I love to teach art in my kids' classrooms, and I love to do people's ad campaigns, and I ran for alderman in 2013 because I wanted to see our community think outside of the box a little more. I wanted to see us ask questions like, why do we do it that way when we've done it that way for so long? I wanted to see us protect the parts of our community that we treasure because this community is so special while encouraging growth, which is what we have to do. So many people will say, oh, we just want it to stay the same. And that's not realistic. You're either going forwards or backwards. So how do we move forwards? How do we grow and encourage that and find great ways to incorporate the arts and important things into our growth? And so I said, you know what? I think I made a lot of phone calls and I didn't see anybody, and they'd be like, thanks. So I decided that I was just going to run and try to be that difference. Our family's motto is run towards the fire. And there are always going to be people running fast the other direction, right?
For sure.
So that is our family motto. And I thought, I can either tell my kids that that's the thing to do, or I can show them that that's the thing to do.
I think that's a key thing,
So, and it was hard to decide to do that with 3 kids.
Absolutely.
It is a juggling act that I manage pretty poorly most of the time.
I'm sure that's not true. You may feel that way, but I'm sure
I
it's...
love doing a lot of this. But anyway, I am honored to do it. And it is so rewarding in so many different ways. And I'm a nerd. I love things like parking garages and figuring out, the best ways to get people to change their traffic patterns and figuring out timing of red lights, weird stuff like that. I love it.
So what is the hardest part of the job?
Well, it's probably not the work. It is probably that I just don't have thick enough skin. I said I'm not a politician. I'm not very good at that. I don't have a filter. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. Apparently, that's not the way these jobs work.
That's why I like her so much.
Who knew? Who knew? You're not supposed to do that, apparently. But I don't have a hard time making decisions, and I do, and I get it wrong a lot of the time. I'm willing to say when I do, and we'll change it and go a different direction. But I don't have really thick enough skin for what the dialogue has become today in politics. I dislike that part, and that's the hardest part to me.
Yeah.
I can handle it in public, but I'm not promising I'm not going to cry about it when I get home. But it's tough.
I think that's something people forget when you're in certain positions.
And that makes it hard.
Yeah, and I think when people are in certain positions, you see this image of what you think that is, and you forget that it's actually a human being person with feelings that goes home and has to process this.
Right.
I mean, I think students forget that about professors. Professors will forget that about upper administration, or we forget that about whoever. We're all people just trying our darndest, right?
We're all
to make it
people
happen.
carrying around, and I have said this in
Yes,
my Mayor
I
for
love
the Day
this.
program. And in my I do a girls empowerment for 5th graders as well. And I say everybody's carrying around an invisible backpack, and you don't know what's in yours or yours or yours, and you don't know what's in mine, and what have you. So we have to remember to run things through that grid, that we just don't know what people are carrying around in their invisible backpacks.
That's right.
That's right. And I think through programs or through initiatives, whether it's a program like the Mayor for the Day or whether it's an artistic program, by getting people together to interact in different ways, it can help us connect with what might be in that invisible backpack.
Absolutely.
Student wanted to know when you were involved with the double-decker kickoff and how it has evolved. I mean, what do you think has been the biggest result from the creation of this event?
Well, we created this event. I was given the job of director of the Oxford Tourism Council in 1994, and we had this first festival in April of 1995. And I just couldn't believe. Now, I was just young enough to think, well, of course I can do that. Yeah, I'll do it. And people were like, wait, this is kind of a big deal. But I knew that what our community does best is music, food, and art. And I just couldn't believe that we didn't have a reason to celebrate that. And so we started the first Double Decker Arts Festival with a group of volunteers that just believed that it was the right thing to do as well. And, we started year one. We did not have much money, and I'll have to tell you that our city council was not maybe quite as supportive as I would have hoped they would have been. And you can bet I let them know that.
Yep.
So when they did not supply the money and thought that perhaps the idea would go away, instead I got 18-wheelers to drop the rigs on the square, but it was not pretty. So I did staple gun burlap all around it for the stages. And we started very low budget. In 95, we had 9,000 people. And this past year, we had over 70,000. So that's the impact.
Well, see, and I want to insert something here. I want people to realize that, had Robyn had just hit that roadblock and thought, someone says no and just walked away, it would have never happened. But it's that resilience, or that if you really believe in what you're doing, I mean, I think you go for it, right?
You do. You
go
just go
for it.
for it. And this community jumps right in with you. That's
For
one
sure.
of the beautiful parts about Oxford is people jump in to help.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, your commitment to education and the arts is inspiring. Transformative experiences are essential. And I'll get you in one sec. Truly provides these types of experiences for its students. We're going to share a 2-minute video highlighting 3 recent career development trips that our LMR students took. One was in New York City, the spring of 2018. We had one last spring, which was a campus exchange experience with the College of Charleston. And most recently this fall, we took a group of students to Nashville, Tennessee. So I just want to share with you all the highlights from these 3 trips and how we are focused on transformative educational experiences. So, opportunities like this would not be possible without the support from many offices and levels at this university. And today we have one of those people with us. Who do we have? Who? We have Dr. Noel Wilkin with us. Let me tell you a little bit about Noel. He is the Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Professor of Pharmacy Administration, and Research Professor in the Research Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences at the University of Mississippi. He is a pharmacist and scientist. Since joining the University of Mississippi in 1996, Dr. Wilkin has been awarded substantial grant and contract support and has published in numerous peer-reviewed and professional journals. Dr. Wilkin has been recognized for his service contributions to the School of Pharmacy and the university, and he has been recognized as the school's Teacher of the Year, not once, not twice, 3 times. Help me welcome Noel Wilkin, a leader who publicly supports the arts. Welcome. Can someone pinch me that we're like, I'm talking to these 3 people at the same time and we're in this room and y'all are here. It's just fun, isn't it? I'm not the only one having fun, right? All right, welcome.
Thank you.
The video we just showed, the reason I wanted to do it before you came out was because that first trip that we took any team members on was in New York City. And a very fond memory of that trip was, of course, Bruce Livingston's concert at Carnegie Hall, which was spectacular, and Price Walden's premiere, which you were both there, but the after party. We ended up at this dinner. We were at a dinner party. We were at table 1. Over there, I have the place card still where we signed it. What was so magical is we had this group of people that normally would have not been seated around a table, partaking in the most wonderful food. We had just experienced the most wonderful musical evening, and you kept asking the most inquisitive, thought-provoking questions. And it was amazing to me that it was so sincere how you were so interested in what it meant to be a musician and to be an artist. And I want to thank you for that moment, because I told him I've saved that card. It sits in my office as a reminder on those days where you think, nobody's appreciating what I'm doing. No, someone does appreciate what we're doing. So thank you. Do you remember it differently than me? Are you going to pop the bubble? It's like, well, actually, she was a drag, and...
Well, I appreciate that. I think that one of the wonders of working on a college campus is getting to know people who have different passions and different experiences and different talents. And if we don't explore those and engage each other in ways where we can understand how people do what they do, what motivates them, and how they're passionate about what they do, I think we're missing a real opportunity.
I think that's a great way of putting it. It really is. And I mean, we all do have different passions. When I teach an honors class, and we talk about names and where names came from, and this one student shared one time, well, when I have a child someday, I'm going to make sure every letter of their name is from the periodic table. And at first I was like, that's a little unusual, but it's not. It's like, that's their passion, that's their focus. I was like, you go.
Poor kid.
Poor kid, no. Well, but then you have to understand, it was me. Blair, were you in this class? I don't remember. I mean, I was talking about how I was thinking about onset vowel versus not, you know, voiced consonant, unvoiced consonant, nasal. So I sounded like a complete nerd. I want to know, what's the best part of your job, Noel?
I think the best part of my job is getting to spend time with people who are passionate about what they do. And I think the opportunity to help people achieve what they see as success and help people to pursue and also accomplish things that move the university forward in so many different ways, in ways that I would have never dreamed or even thought of. And so tearing down those barriers and helping to get people excited about what they do and how it means and what it means to the university. That's the most exciting part of my job. I also enjoy working with students. It's almost like putting your hand on the third rail of a train, if you will, that's powered by electricity. Going and spending time with students who are here exploring who they are and what they want to do and how they want to leave this place, but also who they want to become once they leave. That is really, to me, extremely exciting and energizing.
That's what, I think that's something that this university does so well, is really investing in the students. There's such personal experiences. You hear it from various departments, various teachers, various faculty. It's fantastic. All right, so you do so much for the university. Someone wrote, I don't think most people can begin to comprehend the complexity of your position. Is there a common question people ask you about your job, or something about your job that people just don't understand?
That's a good question. I think that many people think that I have the authority to just make anything I want happen at the University of Mississippi. And I can assure you that's not the case. But what makes that difficult, though, is trying to help people to appreciate that understanding everybody's perceptions about the same set of facts, and then understanding what truth is and what the facts are, and then trying to navigate how are we going to use the information and the perceptions to solve the problems, resolve conflict, tear down barriers, and then move the initiative forward or resolve the issue at hand or move the university forward overall. In my research, I did some work with understanding the dynamics within pharmacy therapeutic committees in hospitals. And it was interesting to me to find out that some of the people in the room were not the most powerful positions. Some of the most influential people in the room were people who had information, had expertise, could see the path forward to bringing together different perspectives around the facts. And those were the individuals who actually helped resolve and solve the problems more effectively. And so it's not about power. It's not about authority necessarily. It's about the ability to facilitate success through conversation and understanding and shared perception and experience.
Wow.
And so I think that a lot of people assume that it's just a matter of making quick decisions on a regular basis, and it's so much more than that. And I find that energizing. I find it exciting. I find it something that I think people don't really understand. But when they do get to understand it, I think they have a deeper appreciation for the complexity of what we do.
Absolutely. I'm sure it's easier for some, though, to just think, you do make all the decisions, and we can just blame one person, right? Or praise one person, one or the other, But I love how you said it's multifaceted and involves lots of people.
Well, and that's where the thick skin comes in, too.
Right.
Just like the mayor was saying,
Right.
that there is, people don't always have the time or have an appreciation for what went into decisions.
Right.
And in today's world, people are very quick to criticize. And so
Absolutely.
realizing that they're coming from a perspective of not knowing the full dynamics is hard sometimes. And so I can certainly empathize with that perspective.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for the three of you, if any of you want to respond to this. An LMR student wants to know, what do you think music or performing arts students should be doing better to engage with the campus and community? What kinds of projects do you think would boost positive visibility for the University of Mississippi and Oxford? I thought that was just really wonderful to pose it in that way, to be so, what do you want from us? Because I think so many times it's just what we want from you, right? What do you think we should be doing, they should be doing? I say we, though, I'm part of this.
Well, I'll start us off.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that from a student perspective, being able to understand how what they do contributes to not only our community at the university, but also the community of Oxford, and how it helps people to understand. I love projects that give a window into what we do and how we do it, and either virtually bring people to Oxford and to the campus, or take people out to the world so they get to see the kinds of people who live here and work here and engage here, or on the other end, bring people to Oxford in a way and help them experience the creativity, the energy, the passion that exists here in so many different areas.
Great.
Engagement is a two-way process.
Yes.
So it can't just be that a group decides they're going to engage. It has to be both directions. And I think the university and City of Oxford do that well. We're very blessed to have leaders like Noel who are interested in building consensus and finding ways for us to move forward together.
Absolutely.
And I think that's important as students look for ways. And, performing arts is such a beautiful way of telling our stories and of engaging people and of stimulating conversations and building consensus. So I think you have the perfect venue for doing that, and I think you'll find a community that is very open to that as well.
I love that, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I think this is the arena where you're able to pull in the most diverse group, or you're able to embark on topics that otherwise wouldn't make it into a room. But somehow when it's under that artistic umbrella,
That's right.
people are at least willing to let the guard down a little bit, or it touches them in a way that they weren't expecting. Not that
Right.
you're trying to change someone or convince someone, that's not what I mean, but just how do we
Giving
come...
understanding.
Right, and just to understand one another and come to some type of common ground and to be able to communicate, yeah.
Right.
Cheryl, would you add anything to that?
Just that we would love to have more student participation at the Performing Arts Center. We think that it would really be challenging for them and maybe would get them further,
Absolutely,
in
we are
there.
so fortunate to have the Gertrude C. Ford Performing Arts Center on
Right.
this campus. I mean, are we not?
We love
Yes.
that.
Unbelievable. And, none of the students in this room fall into this category, nor the ones watching over in the music building, because they showed up, right? But by today's standards, unless someone is required to do something, they often don't want to. And I can't even just put that on the students. I think that's people in general.
Absolutely.
Right? We get sort of passive, and it's easier to stay home in my PJs and eat what I want and use the restroom when I want and be loud. But if I go to an event, I have to get dressed, hopefully. And I have to think through where I'm going to park, how it's going to all go down. It takes a little effort.
It does.
But it's worth the effort
It is worth
because, and there's scientific evidence with this, when a group of people are together at a theatrical performance or listening to a symphony, actually your hearts end up beating at the same rate. You pick up the energy from those around you. And it's a positive thing that I think now more than ever, we need that connection to our fellow mankind, people kind, whatever, we know what I'm saying, that we're connecting in that way. So go to the Ford Center, take a friend to the Ford Center. I think that's something we forget. People decide, and I use the same analogy all the time, but people are very willing to try a new food dish but for some reason you suggest a different art form, you're like, oh, I don't do that. I don't do opera, or I don't do ballet. Like, what do you mean you don't? Just come try it. It's one evening. If you don't like it, move on. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Most of it's very stimulating.
Yes,
Yeah.
there has to be something, right?
well, and it's been said that creativity is what happens, or in order for creativity to exist, we have to get off the path of least resistance. And we find so often that we go through life trying to seek or find the path of least resistance, not only in our activities, but in the way we think. And so if we are going to performing arts performances, and we're going to the Performing Arts Center, and we're experiencing creativity in arts in so many different ways, we're populating our cognition with so many creative ideas, or so many different ideas than we would have. So cognitively, when we get off that path of least resistance, we are going to come up with more creative solutions, more ideas, more other ways to actually think about things rather than just getting from point A to point B.
Totally. And you're very good at instigating those kinds of opportunities. I'm going to give a specific example, not directly related to the Ford Center per se, but just an issue, the op-ed project that the Provost Office recently put forward. It was got to be part of that experience, and it was so neat having a room full of people from all different backgrounds and seeing how, in unusual ways, how our various expertise and passions actually intersected, and how it just sparked ideas in other people. So thank you for letting that initiative happen. It's great.
You're welcome.
Great.
And I also want to give credit to Donna Strum, Dr. Donna Strum, who facilitated and brought
She did a
that program
great
in.
job.
And yeah, we have a really good team in the Provost office.
Absolutely. All right, I want to get to John Michael's question. John Michael, will you come up? I'm gonna let you speak into my microphone. All right?
All right.
We don't have handhelds today.
Do I have a seat or are we going to stand?
Stand. Give it a shot.
Hello, I'm John Michael Walker. I'm a junior here majoring in voice. And I've done lots of coordination of arts events on campus, actually. And Mayor Robyn, this is more for you. How do you get more involvement in those projects, especially in your case when lots of folks just want a Waffle House?
Right. My claim to fame.
Claim to fame.
It is hard, like Nancy said, to get people motivated to actually get off their sofa and go. A lot of people, we'll see a lot of interest surrounding events, but then, you look at the people who actually came, and sometimes that can be disappointing. But, I think that you just have to get them to come that one time. If you can get them to come that one time, then they understand what Noel's just describing, that it is something that brings out the best in everybody, and it gives them an out. Of course, social media seems to be our best advertisement these days, but don't just put an ad. Put a snippet of whoever's going to perform, or let them get one glance at what it is they might be coming to see.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Good
You're
question.
welcome.
And I think
Thank you.
something we're trying to do through this project is seeing other sides of people. I think there are these preconceived notions over what an opera singer's like, or what a grunge band is like, or whatever it may be. And we run the gamut of what we deal with LMR. And it's just getting a deeper understanding. And I think through that understanding and realizing the multi-layers, I think it also draws people in to then check out what's going on, right? I don't know. All right, we're gonna shake it up here. We're gonna do what we do in true LMR Live fashion, and we are going to have game time. Game time! All right, let's go to our video. We are about to play Ole Miss or Old Mess. All right, how's this going to work? We're going to have them taste, peruse, check out 2 items, and then decide which one is the preferred, meaning Ole Miss, versus the non-preferred Old Mess. We're starting off with some water. They're getting 2 waters. One is Fiji water, The other is tap water. Not that there's anything
Which
wrong
is
with tap water.
wonderful in Oxford.
It is wonderful. It was not.
I'll drink to that.
Cheers. Well, and we're about to find out. No. Here's the key. That may win. It
We
may
can
win.
only hope.
So please take your time, sip both, and then Corinne will come through and pick up your cups. Don't say what you think, but go ahead and sip. Try both. I'm going to ask you, just so you know mentally, I'm going to ask you to hold up your paddle about the one with the sticker. All right? So just, switch it around. What is it? When you drink a real sweet wine, you're supposed to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Isn't that right? Yes? Yeah, yes. That's for like an ice wine. We were going to do wine, but then I thought I might be breaking code on something, so we decided to go with water.
Oh, but what's code?
So, yeah. Well, we are in, yeah. I love how she thinks. All right, so when it's...
Noel does too.
Of course. All right, Corinne is going to collect your cups.
Thank you.
And when she comes back later with a different beverage, there will be new cups. I don't want you to think you're getting the reused cups. All right? So give yourselves a moment. I would like you to hold up your paddle, whether you consider the one with the sticker to be Ole Miss or Old Mess.
Are we calling city water Old Mess?
That's how do you determine to do it. Okay, the one with the sticker. Whatever you want. Go ahead. Ole Miss!
Does that mean that it's the bottled water?
I'm going to tell you in a minute. We're just going to find out.
Okay.
Ole Miss! I am so happy to report. I mean, Fiji Water, if you want to sponsor us, I'm all in. But City of Oxford Water just won. Yes! I love it. All right, we're going to transfer to visual art. We're going to put up a picture on the screen. There are two versions of the famous Scream. One is Edvard Munch, the other is Eddie Mann. And we're going to, in a moment, I'm going to ask you about the one on the right. I'm going to ask you about the one on the right, whether you think it is the original or not. So if you think the one on the right is the original, you'll hold up Ole Miss. If you think it is not the original, you'll hold up Old Mess. And vote. Unanimous again. Did they get it right?
Are we? No, we're not unanimous.
Old Mess. I apologize. I need an eye exam. We have one Old Mess and two Ole Miss. It's Ole Miss. It was not Old Mess. It's all good. It's all good. We'll give another try. Pulling up another visual. Now we have Girl in Mirror. Roy Lichtenstein or Frankenstein? We're going to evaluate the one on the left. The one on the left. Is the one on the left Ole Miss or Old Mess? Ole Miss, Ole Miss. What do you think, Cheryl? Old Mess. It's Ole Miss. We got it. All right. You redeemed yourself. No, it's all right. We're going to have some chocolate. We have Ghirardelli and a generic. We're not naming the generic. So you can each take a little cup.
Thank you.
Taste both at your leisure. Sorry, we can give you each little chocolates in a little bit. Because it comes down to personal preference a bit too, right? It does.
What are we deciding?
So we're going to ask them about the one with the toothpick in it. I want you to help. We're going to do the toothpick. Whether you think that one is Ole Miss or Old Mess. Unanimous! Fantastic. They all picked Ghirardelli. Love it. All right. We're now going to shift. We have to keep this very versatile in Gertrude Ford fashion. We're now going to move to literary word. One will be Shakespeare, and one will be Fakespeare. So, first up. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washed with the varnished sea, I would adventure for such merchandise. Or, I am no pirate, yet were thou as far as the east from the west, I would venture through wind and rain, and journey to the fair moon and back again, for such a tender bounty as thy sweet kiss. And we're going to vote on the second one that I read. Whatever you think. The second one, was it Shakespeare or was it Fakespeare? Go. Wrong! So the second one I read was actually the Fakespeare that was written by Ryan. Way to go, Ryan Reagan! Sorry, it's been a long day.
I clearly need to spend more time at the Performing Arts Center.
How about it? I called you Ryan. Why did I call you Reagan? All right, we are now going to shift to some Java. We have some coffee coming, a little coffee talk. Getting 2 cups again. Taking one with a sticker and one without. Here we are comparing Starbucks to a fast food restaurant that will go unnamed. All right, sip at your leisure. And again, curious to see what we prefer. Who knows? Which is better? I feel sort of guilty that we didn't give it to everybody, but that would have been difficult. And we are going to evaluate the one that does not have a sticker this time after Corinne comes in.
And we're determining if it's Starbucks or fast food, right?
You're deciding which one you like better. Definitely the one that Starbucks is more expensive. So the one without the sticker, is it Ole Miss or Old Mess? Interesting, Robyn, you're right. The others preferred the fast food coffee, and Robyn differed. That is hilarious. That's hilarious. All right, we have one more. We are going to look at some perfume. We have 2 perfumes. One is Ralph Lauren. The other I'm calling Ray Lilly. I don't know why. I just made that name up. All right. So we tried to masquerade. I'm going to spray this card here. All right. And then I'll just let you take a little whiff and pass it down. Y'all are so quiet. They're quiet. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Very scientific experiments going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So one was, as I said, Ralph Lauren. The other was from, I won't say where it's from, but it was less than $5. And I would like you to hold up, are you all right? We would like you to hold up the one from the first one. Is the first one Ole Miss or Old Mess? Again, Robyn is right. So I don't think I asked anyone to be an accountant to keep track of who did the best. So we're just going to give you all prizes here in a moment. But I am impressed. Very nice.
I just want to point out the value of an Ole Miss art degree.
Yes, and hopefully Robyn is not analyzing our art here on the, yeah.
And I'm clearly giving our mayor a clear Ole Miss.
That's right. Woo! Well, let me take those back from y'all so you don't have to hold on to them. So I want to thank folks. We're going to do, I want to thank many people, but LMR is able to offer these transformative, tailor-made opportunities for University of Mississippi students that are making them more marketable in today's world because of our supporters. I want to thank the foundation for assisting us so often on fundraising endeavors, specifically Charlotte, Ron, and Maura. And just as a little thank you, we have a video we want to share with you that showcases some of our team. thank you to all of our supporters and partners. We want to thank our loyal viewers via the web. I loved hearing from folks from California this morning and West Virginia. Thank you. I want to thank the College of Liberal Arts and the Department of Music. I want to thank my cohort in crime, I always say, our Executive Managing Director, Brady Bramlett, who is from Tennessee. And I want to point out I'm from Pittsburgh. There's a reason why I'm saying this in a moment. I want to thank our house musician, Benjamin Woroba, who's from Mississippi, who provided music before the show. I want to thank our dream team members, Ava Street from Mississippi, Haley Cheryle from New Jersey, Corinne Locher from Utah, Alexis Rose from Nebraska, Reagan Arnold from Mississippi, and Lily Swilley from Mississippi. At LMR, we believe when you come to the University of Mississippi, you become a child of Mississippi. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I will always be a Yinzer at heart, but I truly feel like a child of Mississippi because of this flagship university. As you just heard, the LMR team is comprised of people from across our nation. And even if they weren't born here, once they come here, they become a child of this place. We will be celebrating this concept in the spring. We're going to be putting on a Child of Mississippi event, so be on the lookout for more information that will celebrate this concept. Last but not least, I want to thank our three guests. I truly appreciate these transformative, influential, powerful, however you want to put it, people who are very busy. None of them took more than, it was seconds before they said, yes, I'll do it. And that's amazing to me, that they're willing to take time out of their busy schedules and their lives to come be part of this. So thank you. Thank you what you do daily. Thank you for working together. Thank you for advocating for the arts. And as we say goodbye today, I want to remind us all, the music, research, revolution continues. See you later.